hockey. Yeah.
My favorite.
It's Judd's Hockey Show.
Indeed, it is Judd's Hockey Show. Judd's Hockey Show, Monday edition, full strength. That means it's Judd, Jessi Pierce, of course, from the Bar Down Beauties, and also covers the Wild and does a great job for NHL.com. AJ Fredrickson co-hosting as well as always. Before we start, plenty to talk about here. I want to talk about my favorite beer, the official beer of the Sports Dad. That is Padres, which is absolutely outstanding. A variety of beers that are great, including a red that I have been talking about for quite some time now. In fact, last week, while I was ho-ho-hoing, I was also participating in drinking some of those beers, and they were fantastic. The best news, 6-packs now available more and more throughout the metro and the state, including Kowalski's, Haskell's, Hy-Vee, Total Wine, Cub, MGM, and on, as well as most independent liquor stores in the greater metro and Rochester. Try the, as I said, the red ale, the porter, the dry stout. Padres, you are sure to love that beer. And as always, tweet me your pictures of your Padres cans at @JZolgad on the X machine. How are we doing?
So much of that, if I had said, like, I was ho-ho-hoing or show me your cans, I feel it comes off very differently. Just
yeah.
Right?
Well, ho-hoing, I think it's fine. I think you'd be fine with that. Show
know.
us your cans is definitely...
I'm ho-ho-hoing down on the block. I don't know. It just...
You're ho-ho-hoing for being... I mean, the kids are home. It's like you're going crazy. Mike's there. You're like, I need a drink. Padres is the place to look.
True.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah, the other one I'm with you on. You probably should not use that, but I can, so what the hell. All right, kids, let's start with this. The Wild of late, things are not so great. Jessi, let's start with since you are at practices and cover this team on essentially a daily basis, Kirill Kaprizov. So Eriksson Ek comes back. That's fantastic. But as he comes back, Kirill Kaprizov has now missed the last 2 games. And I'm getting a little concerned because I hate when I hear it shouldn't be too long, but we're going to let him get this right. Like, just set the scene for me. What do you know about what's the problem here? And what is your sort of projection for what a timetable might be?
I mean, even weirder is that Bill Guerin kind of was very adamant in having us media members not ask John Hines daily about an update on Caprizov, which part of me gets, right? If there's no update, there's no update. But it was very interesting that it's very cloak and veil. Like, please just don't ask him about it. He'll be back when he gets back. I don't think it is terrible. I think that is truthful. I think that is honest. I think it's a groin issue that has been lingering all season. I think you've seen little bits where I think he's just powered through it, especially with the minutes. So I think it's just something that they really want to heal much better. I think they've been trying to do kind of more of the topical things and trying to get that so it's a little less painful for him. But I think just got to a point where it's like, you know what? Let's take it. Let's give it a little bit of a rest. We got Ecker back. That's fine. They're still without Midzi. I would say maybe the rest of this week. I wouldn't be surprised if Kirill does, in fact, go on the trip. It's funny. I was thinking, I don't know that him and Ovechkin have had the chance to play against each other because one or the other has always been out of the lineup, it seems.
Interesting.
Right? I have to go back and double check that, but I was thinking about that. So I'm like, I'm sure Kirill wants to get in there for Washington, be on the road trip. They did reassign Brendan Gaunce down to Iowa. Now, obviously, you could probably recall him, but that's a little bit more telling. So it wouldn't surprise me if Kirill is out for the New Year's Eve game against the Preds, but comes back for the road trip again. I don't think it's overly concerning. It certainly sucks to have him out of your lineup for any juncture, let alone 3 games. But I do feel like it's a growing issue that they just want to get settled for the rest of the season.
Do we think it flared up or they just finally said that? Because, I mean, he was playing an incredible amount.
Yep.
So
I think it was more of a flare, or not. I wouldn't say it's a flare up. I think it was just something that they're finally like, we need to take care of this, and now seems to be the best time. I mean, the schedule doesn't get any easier, doesn't get any better. You've got a handful of games, obviously, the rest of this month, and then you do have that break where Kirill does get a break, which I think will be helpful too. So I think it's just a matter of getting things sorted out now before they're back on their every other night game schedule for sure. So I think it's okay. No need to hit the panic button. Okay. I do just find it odd that there's such secrecy around injuries from the team this year. It's kind of like all right.
It's interesting that Guerin said that though. Like I don't recall him stepping in before and saying, don't ask the coach. So clearly it's something. I also want to talk about their play since December the 15th. Okay. So they were 26-4 going into the game against the Golden Knights on the 15th. They lost 4 consecutive games. They come back, they end the losing streak by beating the Blackhawks, who are just god awful, 4-3 at home. They then go to Dallas on the day back from the break. They look absolutely terrible, but Dallas collapses third period. The Wild comes away with a improbable, I guess, 3-2 win in OT, but then they lose 3-1 to the Senators last night. The Dallas win felt very fluky. Like, where, Age, start with you. Where do you put this team right now? And look, you're going to go through slumps. I get that. So it's not like, oh my God, they're slumping. This is it. But like, where do we put this team right now as far as it really feels like starting with December 15th that things have not been the same since?
Yeah, it feels like they're just constantly like trying to truck uphill. Like they're like running through sand. They can't necessarily find that footing that we've seen earlier in the season because like the biggest thing I noticed, it seems like they just are catering their game to the opposition each and every night. And part of it, I mean, they have been missing guys. And Kirill Kaprizov not being in the lineup, especially last night, was just so apparent. You're relying on certain people, 12, Boldy to step up, and maybe we're just not seeing the output and just rising to the occasion that what is expected. But it makes me kind of nervous that if this team doesn't get healthy later on in the season, that they're really going to like stumble into a playoff spot. And, I think the talk has been, okay, are they going to lock up 1 or 2 or that top 3 spot? Are they a wild card team if they can't get guys healthy and then they're battling and there's nagging injuries and a groin injury persists? And okay, you can have Kirill back for a game, but he's playing at like 80% and then he might have to sit the next game or miss out on this road trip. It's really, I don't know. It's tough to see this team try to like expect them to string together back-to-back good performances because I feel like right now they're still just like they're searching for their game. They kind of have a bag over their head and they're just wandering around on the ice at times. So the defense, I will say, has stepped up like production-wise. The penalty kill defense has not stepped up, but in terms of offensive production, Jared Spurgeon, Brock Faber with a clutch goal the other night in overtime. Even like Jonas Brodin has, since returning, stepped up a little bit, and he's looked very solid as well.
Yeah.
They've been holding their own, and Declan Chisholm, I think, is maybe the unsung hero, and I tweeted this last night, and Judd, I know you and I have talked about this on multiple shows since the trade, but ever since that Juracek acquisition, Declan Chisholm has been playing very, very good hockey. I know at times, obviously, he's not, a Bobby Orr or a Paul Coffey type guy, but he is playing, I think, much higher than the level was expected for Declan Chisholm, and that's been part of why that back end has had a lot of success, while maybe the front forward lines haven't had as much here recently.
Jessi,
Offense has dissipated. That's your biggest problem. You're having regressions from Matt Boldy, who we've talked about as of late. But even Matt Zuccarello, even Ryan Hartman, who I know we're not always relying on to be heavy, he hasn't scored since like November, right? I mean, you're looking at those guys that were going, and the offense was doing a great job of going north to south. That top line in particular is still so east to west and still looking for just those seam passes. I mean, that game, or not the game winning goal, the empty net goal is a terrible Boldy turnover because he's trying to make that seam pass, and Claude Giroux even said that in the post game. Like, I knew that's what he was going to do. So, yep, I'm going to take the puck and go and shoot it down. Like, they're just trying to be too fancy a little bit. And again, that top line in particular, I think they only had maybe 10 shot attempts per person on that line the entire night. It's just the regression is starting to show, and it's starting to wear, because as you'd mentioned, Age, defensively, the team looks good, and Philip Gustafsson is doing his job. Now the offense needs to get that spark back, right? And you need to do it like they were at the beginning of the year, where they were rolling on all cylinders. I think the third line looked solid last night, and I think that was probably about the only line, and everybody else was just kind of meh. So I think you need Boldy to get back on his high horse. You need Rossi even to start chipping in. And I think a lot of it too, because I asked Hines about this, he said, for Boldy in particular, he needs to do a better job at getting inside. He needs to go back to being kind of that inside player and going toward the net, which Joel Eriksson coming back and missing the past 11 is going to be a huge added body and added size. But Boldy was doing that, and he was finding success in that. And again, he's going back to that role he had played 2 years ago, where he was more of the stick handler and kind of the fancy skilled player. It's like, you can be both. So I think That's my biggest concern is just offensively the total regression of the depth that we had seen help the Wild be so successful earlier.
And that's what gets me though, because like Boldy, we know what the ingredients to a good Matthew Boldy game is, right? Like it's not a secret. And I'm also mentally I'm struggling with this. Who is really disappointing them and who just probably is not that good? Sure. And by that I mean Ryan Hartman, okay? He should be giving them more, but I also said from the outset of the season, this to me is no longer and is not a top 6 guy. So it would be disingenuous now to come back and say he should be giving them now I would like to see him score a goal. I think it's been 18 games without a point. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But like the first line last night, you're going up against I believe a AHL goaltender who, but for the grace of God, wouldn't be anywhere near
a fourth stringer.
Yeah.
This was his 5th career game.
But so like was Hines frustrated by like to me, like you're playing an East-West game in that game? What are you doing? You're on home ice. And by the way, again, I'll continue to pound the drum. As pleasant of a surprise as this team has been up until the middle of December, they are not that good of home team. 4th string goaltender who you want to be getting to the net as much as, there has to be a level of frustration here. And I know Kaprizov's out, and I know Eriksson Ek was out previously. I know that they've lost some guys, but that does not give you license to disappear. 1 goal against a 4th-string goaltender, even without Kaprizov, to me, is not acceptable, and it's incredibly frustrating.
And I'll give a little bit of credit to Ottawa because they are better than I think most people assume because we don't pay attention, especially here in Minnesota, right? I mean, they lost 4-2 to Winnipeg the night before, but that score not at all indicative of how they played. And I think they have dropped 2 before they got to Minnesota, but prior to that, they had won like 7 straight, right? And I mean, you can see some of that. Brady Tkachuk reminding Marco Rossi, whose boss just absolutely upending the poor kid, was so ridiculous.
It looked like it hurt too.
He landed on his neck pretty good there.
He fell backwards hard.
Yeah.
That was dangerous.
But I mean, so they have some good pieces. So a little bit of credit to Ottawa. But yeah, to AJ's point earlier, it seemed like Minnesota was playing down to their competition, which is something we've seen of the team in years past. But it looked like this year they were maybe finally putting that to bed, right? Like, okay, nope, we're not going to play down. There haven't been that many examples. And I think that's what makes the Ottawa game so disappointing. I look back at a couple of those other losses, your Floridas, your Edmontons and whatnot. Okay, sure, right? I mean, you can argue the opponent's really good, and again, the score not indicative of the way the Wild played, but last night, it just kind of seemed lazy. It seemed a little sloppy. It just seemed like they weren't really into it, especially in the second period, where they just completely shut down for whatever reason and allowed Ottawa to get that momentum back. Now, it's always good to see Minnesota put that grit to the test in the third, but it's also like, all right, let's play a full 60 here, boys, right? I mean, John Hines said, and he's been hammering home, and we've talked about it before, it's the details for him. He said there's just a lot of mistakes and missed opportunities within the smaller, finer details. So it's things that can be worked out. Again, I'm still not hitting the panic button, but the biggest concern, even more so, you gotta win at home. They are 9-8-1 at home right now, and it is just absolutely horrible to see. Like, I love that you're a good road team, but my goodness, especially come March when they are, I kid you not, home every other day, you're going to need to figure out where that home ice advantage is. Maybe we need some more lake water in the sheet.
No, stop. We do not need the R ice to pour.
Let's bring the lake water back.
That came out of a kitchen.
Sacrifice a goat.
That came out of a kitchen sink. That was a kitchen sink at the X where they'd be like, from Lake Minnetonka, from White Bear Lake. White Bear Lake was dried up half the time. There was no water in White Bear Lake. You live there. You know that.
I know. Well, I do know that. There's no water here.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So what I didn't like to, and this is going to sound weird, but I felt like the win in Dallas provided a false sense of accomplishment. That was such a bad game. They played, I mean, both teams weren't good, and they played such a bad game. And in the third, I don't know what the Stars, and I got a rant at the end about this freaking break that never ends. But at the end of that game, like the Stars in the third and OT looked totally checked out. And look, the Wild took advantage. Ottinger did not play well. They came back and won. But I felt like being rewarded 2 points for that performance was almost like this, hey, good job. You're out of any slump that you were in. I didn't like it because that was seriously one of the worst games I've seen. Or I think that was the worst game I've seen them play possibly all year. It was awful. And I know they got up early, and I know they flew the day of the game, all self-inflicted. But the the reality was, like, as far as I'm concerned, they have the Chicago win since the middle of the month, and that's basically it. And I'm with you. I don't want to push the panic button, in part because, Jessi, they gave themselves so much, room with points early. But I sure would like to see them get back to playing the style that I felt that they were playing. And I feel they're drifting away from that. And that's what's concerning. It doesn't feel like just a slump. It feels like guys got hurt and they're like, well, guys are hurt. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. It's like Matt Boldy can't disappear and you can't make a stupid pass. Like, you have to play well. This is your job.
They've lost that confidence, that swag, as Billy G likes to say, very much so. In that game in Dallas, it felt like going into it like, this is exactly the type of game they're going to win because they don't deserve to win it, or they don't, it had all that narrative built around it. Like, oh, look they did it without Kirill and they did it without Mackey and like, yada, yada. Maybe if they had an optional practice, they could have been better. I don't know.
Yeah, like Dallas did.
Oh, what an idiot. What an idiot, Pete DeBoer. Just so nonchalantly drops in. Yeah, we had an optional during the mandatory do not come to your facility.
And the mandatory thing should be stripped. They should have a practice. Pete DeBoer was right. He was just an idiot to say it.
Go to Edina then. You just can't do it at your facility. Like, I think Spurge can orchestrate that. Anyway. Oh. Yeah, it is. It's it's a mental game. I just hate it. Yeah. Huh? No break for anybody.
We're all going to the Spurgeons for a big meal, and we're all going to have fun and take pictures together. Hey, you know what? Go practice hockey. Sorry.
That's God.
I've got more on this.
What is the penalty that they're going to face now? Because something's going to happen, right?
6-figure fine.
That's it? I feel like, strip them of the next 7 first-round picks.
I think you should fine DeBoer more than anything, like, just for being a moron and saying it, right? Like, I think that's who pays the fine. Like,
she's not wrong.
Feel like especially with those young kids, what are they supposed to do? Like, can't go home. There's not enough time to, like, go to their home and spend time with their family. Like, let them go play hockey for a little bit.
And they don't want to be off. Yeah, they're kids. They want to play hockey. That's what they do on Christmas.
That's what you do on Christmas. I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah, but
go ahead, Age. Sorry.
I don't know, but
and one more thing.
I'm just thinking, like, if there's a they set up, they get ice time at Schwann's up in Blaine or whatever, and they go out there. Yeah, and they do that. That's fine. But then Jonas Brodin takes a spill because the ice, I'm sure, for the record, I'm sure the facilities at Schwann Super Rink are always pristine. They're always great. But on the off chance he catches a divot and goes hard into the wall, and all of a sudden, hey, he's out for the next.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have just enjoyed the holidays. It's 2 days, for God's sake.
I told Jessi this. Here's what they have to do. First of all, we have to go back to Boxing Day games, okay? Boxing Day in Canada is huge. The NHL is made. Professional sports are made to be played on days where we're bored, okay? Boxing Day is the ultimate day. What you do is Christmas Eve, off. Nobody practices. Nobody does a thing. Holy time with your family, or you go get drunk. Don't care, but you can have that day off. Christmas Day, daytime off. At 4 o'clock, you reconvene to either practice or travel, and then you play on the 26th. This league has perfected the art of lazy breaks. Like, they literally have, I think it's out because of the Four Nations face-off. But if I'm not mistaken, they have a bye every year for teams, right? You don't need a bye. Like, that's how we get games condensed in March, where it's like, why are you playing so much? So anyway, the fix is this. Guys should be able to watch their kids open presents on Christmas Day. I'm cool with that. Enjoy a little festive late breakfast and then go back to work. There, I fixed your problem.
Wow, it was that easy.
But the 26th is World Juniors Day. I like having.
I know, I love that, but I'm sorry. But the more hockey, the better. The more options built in, the better.
Yeah, but then we have to work. I'm just kidding.
I'd love to go to a game on the 26th. I'd love to go to the X. I would love it. I'd love to watch a game.
My issue is that if you're going to do that, Jessi's right, because I want, like, it's in Ottawa or whatever this year, right? It's in Canada. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they're going to have Canada Sweden or something like that as like the premier game that first day. Yep. That game has to now be flipped to like 11 a.m. and then you're going to put Kazakhstan Latvia as like the premier. And that, if that's how the schedule is going to be, that's fine. Because I can live without seeing Latvia and Kazakhstan go
Unless
at it.
They're upsetting Canada. Woo!
That was awesome. That was so much fun.
God, what a day.
That was a time of mourning in Canada. Like they were mourning that They were that.
Yeah.
There was a national period of actually mourning in Canada for a loss in group play.
Ugh.
I don't think this Canada team's going to even medal. They don't look good.
They didn't take the right players.
No, that's
kind of fun to watch too, that little drama unfold.
Oh, Canada.
So
Are you
good.
talking about drama in hockey?
Yeah,
The Canadians
so good.
love that. But I think they took the wrong. I think that they did not take a team that was representative. I guess there's some high-scoring defenseman. I don't recall his name. Not the kid that got hurt, but there was a high-scoring defenseman left off the team.
Yeah, Kemchuk. Yeah, Kemchuk.
Yeah. So what the hell is that all about? And then the poor kid that got hurt wrapped his collarbone around the post. He's out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Beckett Seneca didn't make the roster, or did he get the call?
There was like 7 of them that didn't make though. Everybody was
Their
like,
roster,
these are shoo-ins.
Yeah,
their roster just befuddled me because there's so many. They could have had a perfect lineup, and they just decided, no, we're going to take this guy and this guy and this guy, and because there's probably behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about, but I think it was one of the guys that got left off after they lost put like an Instagram story up and it was just like, hey, remember when I scored 4 goals yesterday in my junior game? People forget about that,
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Let's move on to this, you guys. So I feel like we should give the PK a break. Like we've talked about it incessantly.
Should we?
Well, here's why though. I'm not giving the
fixed.
Wild a break. I want to talk about the power play.
Okay.
They have not scored a power play goal since the Panthers game. They were 1 for 2 in that game on the power play. Since then, Jets game 0 for 4, Hawks game 0 for 1, Stars 0 for 2, Senators 0 for 2. How do you get this power play on track? Because it seems to me, even without Kirill Kaprizov, they certainly have enough to score a goal or two. Like, this power play, first of all, what's the problem? And second of all, like, it's one thing if your PK is not good, but your power play is good, or your power play is not good, but your PK is really good. But this feels like a special teams meltdown. And as we know, offseason changes were made, particularly Jessi Pierce, to fix this. So how do you get the power play back on track?
Again, stop being so cute and trying to make so many seam passes. And I do understand from up high, and because I will admit this, and having talked to enough of the guys, I understand our vantage point is very different from what they see on the ice, right? Like it looks like a shot is clear, a lane's clear or something, and it's probably not. Or they know the guy's going to cut through. So I do take that into account before I'm yelling shoot, shoot, shoot. But
please
shoot
don't be
the
that
freaking
person.
puck though, too, at the same time. Like I think sometimes they're trying too hard to make those connections or do the tic-tac-toe passing where it's like, you don't need to make that third pass. Like take that shot up through the lane or again, crash the net. There's not enough bodies in front of the net in the dirty areas. I think that's the biggest problem on the power play. It's the biggest problem kind of on a lot of those lines. And again, yes, Joel Eriksson's neck has been out for a large majority of the lack of success for the power play. But I think that's just that you need somebody there or even crashing in on rebounds. This team has not gotten very many good rebound goals the past couple games either. And it's kind of like, they're there. Like I see the puck just pop out. It's like, where's your trailer? Where's this or that? And so I think just going harder to the net on the power play and in a lot of those situations will help them find the back of the net.
And do these guys not watch Kaprizov play? Like Kirill Kaprizov plays a dirty game. Like he goes to the net. Like when Kirill's out, it's not like, oh man, we have just lost this incredibly talented guy, but he doesn't work that hard, right? Like he works his ass off. So my question is, if you're Boldy, aren't you sort of embarrassed? Like you have to be standing right there. And you also, when Caprizov was playing, had an interesting observation. I think I was in the press box by you, way away from Jessi and the crew, because we sit way away from them.
Yeah. Too close.
Yeah, well. And you said, why do they have Caprizov there? And I think they had him as the bumper in the power play instead of on a circle where he could clearly be the Ovechkin type of trigger man. I thought that was a pretty good observation. And I guess my question is this, in addition to what Jessi said, of guys not going to the net, are they necessarily deploying guys in the right spots consistently to try to maximize their strengths on the power play?
So I was actually thinking about this. I watched it. It was a bonus coverage on NHL Network a few days ago between Tampa Bay and the Panthers.
I love watching these.
The Lightning had a power play. and it was pure and I think maybe it's just like personnel wise, the Wild feel like they need to put Matt Boldy in a certain spot. Right now, though, especially once Kirill comes back, I take him out. Because right now, Matt Boldy is set up in that kind of trigger man, OV office flipped where he's on the half wall, he's on the hash marks. He's the one-time option, but also he can kind of get down low if he needs to be. That, in my opinion, needs to be Kirill Kaprizov. Like, he's got the shot for that. He's got the one-time ability for that. But also, when I was watching what the Lightning do, first off, it's constant puck movement. It's like perfectly orchestrated chaos of passing back and forth and around the perimeter and all this stuff. But Kucherov either can take that shot or with his passing ability, drift back up top and either let a wrister fly because he's got a good shot, or with Kirill Kaprizov's ability, you can make a good pass to like somebody either in the middle for a tip or on the back door. Right now, that's Matt Boldy's role, and it shouldn't be. Like, especially once Kirill Kaprizov comes back. You have to put Kirill as like the focal point. And the thing is, they are so unapologetically funneling it to one spot. And there's nothing that the Panthers could do about it. And granted, like the one that I watched, took notes on, they didn't score. But it was chance after chance after chance, which is, okay, we know, and the Capitals have been doing this for a decade. Everybody knows where it's going. Nobody cares. He's going to be open for a smidge at a certain point. Just get him the puck and let him work. He's the best player on the ice at any given moment when he has the puck. Get it to Kirill. The thing is, he has to be in the right spot. He should not be the put him out front and, hopefully you can get any guy, Joe Schmo out there. They've thrown Marcus Foligno out there. Does that seem like the right role if Marcus Foligno can also play? No offense to Marcus Foligno, but if they can play the same thing and interchange, that probably doesn't mean it's the right role for Kirill Kaprizov. It's a specialty position. You need to have a specialty player orchestrating that power play, and I know they might want to work along the top and have a Jared Spurgeon or a Brock Faber or something along those lines, a Matt Zuccarello to quarterback it if they want to have him up there. It has to go to one guy and funnel through one guy unapologetically, and that's 97.
Fair.
Jessi, your thoughts?
No notes. Yeah, I would agree too. I think that sounds like a good, again, try it. Mix it up because it's not yielding any success as of now anyway. So why not give that? But I think that's a really, really good point, especially in regard to Kaprizov and in putting Boldy in a better situation. Then get him out of that spot, move him over, give him a better chance. Let him find his confidence again. Let him find the back of the net in the area that's a better poised for him. I'd say, yeah, do it. Do something.
Well,
and last night, too, they had like two good chances. One of them was Jared Spurgeon just goes basically coast to coast buttered toast, weaving and winding through. But then on the broadcast, and I don't like, just making a point here, but on the broadcast, the point that, well, now they've had two good chances if they can get in there and just really set up shop. No, because when they set up shop, it's like the pulse dies. It's it's like going to a club and they're doing like EDM, blah, blah, blah. And then you put on like Forever Young and now it's like a slow dance. Nobody wants that.
They do love to pass. There's no question about it.
It's like a funeral home when they set up shop. Yeah. They need to, they like that speed on the zone entry. Use it. Like, that should be your point of, right now, especially with 97 out, that should be your focal point of generating a chance. It should be hard and fast, multiple guys crashing the net, put a shot on, see if you can, score and just bat one in with the chaos. Yep. If it doesn't work, you either have to probably then back out because you've lost possession, or then it's just completely funneled towards the net. This passing and hoping that the defense takes themselves out of position is going to give me an aneurysm. It's going to kill me.
Don't die on us. We need you.
I can't keep watching this like a little head fake. Okay, back to you at the top. Now back to the half wall, back down low. But they're not gonna just willingly let you walk to the net. You have to push it there yourself.
There's a difference in generating offense and generating opportunity. And I think that's what Minnesota keeps forgetting, right? Like, you can create some of the time and space, but if you don't capitalize on that and do anything with it, it was all for naught, frankly. And I think that's what they're doing. Because even Hines last night had said, well, I thought we generated chances. And it's like, where? When were you shooting?
Well, they hit the post, he said. Well, we hit the post a bunch.
And I saw it twice.
I
saw the post twice. And the one that should have, it was a, puck luck a little bit for them because it was right behind the goalie and he ended up managing to get a hold of it. But
right.
No, I think that's the thing. They're not capitalizing on the time and space that they're creating or the offense. I mean, you got to take a look at the high danger opportunities, and they're not really there because they're not creating those really good opportunities. Generating offense doesn't do it for me. I want to generate goals, guys.
Right.
Goals.
Right. Well, and you're not, and what you guys are talking about is not shoot, like just shoot.
Yeah.
Because you're clearly trying to get lanes to shoot through, but you have to generate traffic as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is it does, and I mean, this goes way back. It feels like this is a team that when it's not playing its best is just looking for perfection. It's looking for perfection. I also think that there's a conversation here as we talk about this, because Kirill, I think part of the problem is coaches try to get, because Kirill works so hard, it's like they say, okay, if he's going to work this hard, we're going to put him in a position where the hard work is going to pay off. But he's so damn skilled, he should probably be where the skill is going to pay off. And you should be asking guys like Boldy, hey, Matt, at the end of the day, we need you to get beat up as bad as Eck does.
Yeah.
Because like Eck takes punishment, and it looks like it sucks. But guess what? Who cares? That's his job. And like, it feels like Bolds is like sometimes, that's a little bit tough. Well, I don't care. And quite frankly, if I have to choose between putting Kirill in a position that he's going to take on willingly, or say, you know what, Bolds, you're going to get your ass kicked. Kirill's not, but you're good enough to score from there, Matthew. You know, I'd prefer that. Like it feels like Kirill lives in this world of, well, if you're going to work like a fourth line guy, we're going to take advantage of that. But that's then going to at times take away from the fact that you are one of the most skilled players in the entire world. So it's interesting, but I do think that the power play's functioning ability, like, you need more. Definitely. Speaking of hockey, you know what? At some point in time, we're going to get to the off season, and hockey players love two things. They love to skate. They love to practice, even on Christmas Day, and they also love golf. So Jessi, tell us about your friends at Swing Lab.
Yes, absolutely, my friends. Swing Lab Performance Center in Lakeville, Minnesota. 2025 product is here, and Swing Lab Performance Golf in Lakeville has you covered with products from Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade, Cobra, Lab putters. Swing Lab has the capacity to fit any golfer. While using advanced technology, Swing Lab fitters will take you through a club fitting experience that will get the best fitting clubs in your hands. Swing Lab fittings are free with qualifying purchases. And don't forget about those simulators so you can golf year-round. Book them for a couple hours. Go have some fun with your friends. Swing Lab Performance Golf in Lakeville. Top notch. Look, my improvement is already great. I can't wait for the before and after.
I can't wait to see the swing now.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
And guess what? When it's golf time, barbecue time too. That's right. Barbecue time, and that gives me a chance to talk about my very good friends at Stoked Barbecue Pellets, a company based right here in our great state. Stoked is the premium pellet that cooks anything that you throw on the grill or smoker to delicious perfection. You can find Stoked at all 22 Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores. Perfect for pellet grills, pellet smokers, and much more. We're talking about Stoked Barbecue Pellets, 50-count fire starter buckets, 4-count fire starter bags, and the always helpful barbecue caddy as well. Again, available at all 22 Fratelloni's hardware and garden stores. Don't go with the big guys. Go with Stoked. Check them out at their website, stokedbbq.com. That's stokedbbq.com. All right, let's wrap up with this. So the state of this team right now is because of all of the points they accumulated early, remain in very, very good shape. Once Caprizov is back, and let's just say it's early January, things go fine, he comes back. The expectation, Jessi, does it go back to the team that we saw at the start of the season, which was one of, if at times, the best team in the National Hockey League? Do you dumb it down a bit and say that was not a fluke, but they're not going to continue on that path? But, healthy Kirill, Gustafsson back, Eck back, Jake back at some point then. What does your gut tell you about who the 2024-25 Minnesota Wild really are?
They're somewhere in between, right? And that's the kind of the easy cop-out answer, but I do think it's true because I don't think any of us expect... It was a cop-out.
It was a definite cop-out. I was looking for more. Bar Down Beauties don't get that. You would give a hot take.
No, but they are, because I don't think it still was very unrealistic for them to be performing at the pace that they were, right? I mean, it was just insane to watch, and you had everybody really going, unless you get Ryan Hartman back in the saddle, unless you get Matt. I mean, you will get Matt Boldy back up there, right? But you need those other guys contributing. I think you only had 2 or 3, and I hate to call them passengers, but they were passengers, right? Foligno wasn't doing anything. Trennan wasn't doing anything. Gaudreau wasn't really doing anything. That was fine because everybody else on that team was. You haven't had that in quite some time. Kirill or no Kirill, it has not been that way because you go back to that stat about goals that Kirill has factored in and when he hasn't. I mean, even when he's on the ice, they hadn't been winning. So I think they're definitely somewhere in the middle. Certainly it's going to help to get Kirill back. Certainly it's going to help to get Jake Middleton back as well. But I think the biggest honest is Matt Boldy needs to get back. I need to see him do better. And then they'll be a little bit more like the team they were at the beginning. And I don't see them getting to that level because it felt like a, what's the word? not a facade, maybe a facade. Felt a little bit like a facade.
Yeah. Close to fluke, but not an entire fluke.
Not a fluke. No. Yeah. I think, because again, we were waiting for the other shoe to drop eventually on that, right? We're like, there's no way this team, and looking at that schedule now in hindsight, right? It wasn't exactly a difficult schedule that they were achieving.
But
they were on the road.
I was going to say the 7, I'm not going to discount that. You went on the road.
I'm not trying to.
Yeah. Like that is a long stretch. I mean, heck, the local broadcast talks about it incessantly. Schedule is so unfair. Well, then guess what? Don't take so much time off.
21 back-to-backs this year? Is that right? Is that
we got too many back-to-backs. Here's why, because you have too much time off.
I won't give a cop-out answer. If they're healthy again, I don't see why we can't see the same team that we saw at the beginning of the season. I think it's no secret that this, like the team and the energy and the production goes through one guy, and whether or not he is on his game or off, and that's 97. He's more on than off. So I think that plus just people coming back. I mean, you saw how bad they were without that like good secondary center with Joel Eriksson-Ek. I thought they were winning faceoffs last night. I will say that. That was my big takeaway from yesterday, is that they were winning defensive zone faceoffs, especially in the penalty kill. And unfortunately, clearing the zone after winning the faceoff is a different story. But they were winning faceoffs more often than not. And the goaltending, Gustafsson, I think we've been eating crow, especially he's been playing at a level that I didn't expect. And it's continued. It hasn't been a fluky, like he's going to take a couple games off. He's been putting this team, when he's in the net, in positions to win. The problem is the production up front has kind of been letting them down. And once you get Jake Middleton back, like I didn't expect Jake Middleton to have the year that he's been having. Whether that's a fluke or not, we'll have to see when he does return at some point. But if he brings that sort of production, even like half of it back, I think that this team is able to probably be what they were. Make everybody kind of believe and look like they are a team that can not just make the playoffs in one of those top 3 spots in the Central, but win a series or 2 in the playoffs, not just in for 6 games and then get a quick boot and then join Jessi at Swing Labs for some golf.
Yes.
I feel like they also need to start passing the eye test. Like, I don't care who's playing. You need to pass the eye test, which is complete game, work hard. Like when John Hines said after the Sens loss, right? That it's the small things, or to paraphrase him, like that's what they're not passing right now. It's like there's a lot of, to use Jess's term, passengers. It feels like, which always scares me because that's the history of this team for a long time. A lot of passengers. And look, you've had key guys out. I get that, but that does not give you license to have so many guys who can't struggle. Hartman, just get a goal or a point. I'm not looking for a lot there. Boldy, I'm looking for way more. And I don't care who's out there. You need to do it. As we discussed last week, you need to drive lines. Like whatever line you're on, you need to drive that line, not be a passenger. But this does lead up to one fun thing. New Year's resolution. Should it be to make a trade by the deadline for Bill Guerin? And should that trade be for a center, assuming that you can afford it? Because I think we've gotten a glimpse now. I don't think they have any room for guys to get hurt and actually succeed in the playoffs. So should the resolution to be to start sniffing around for a veteran center who can at least give you somebody if you have a guy out, or screw it if you don't, just to give you more depth there?
100%. Somebody that can win a face-off. Somebody that can do something. I need a real centerman, please.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I can't. There's nothing more need to be said.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
And
look,
Billy will do it. I mean, he's at the juncture where he'll go get the missing piece that he thinks he needs.
What's the cap
no
like now? Because they've had guys on long term, which actually hurts your cap because then because you accrue cap space. What if you don't have guys on LTIR? I believe that's the rule. So my only question is the cap space. But I think we've gotten a glimpse here, and I think if this team is going to do anything in the playoffs, because you always got to assume that guys are going to go down, I think you got to get a center.
Yeah.
Age, are you checking something out?
Yeah, no, I'm just looking to see like who is like the top centers available. The first, I mean, do you want Michael Granlund back? That could be.
No, I don't need a.
Please,
I don't need
please
a,
say his name appropriately. Okay.
Was it Mikhail?
Granlund.
Gronlund.
It was Gronlund. That's what Doc said, and they. I think they finally said stop it. Everyone just calls him Granlund, Doc.
You think
look at that! Look at that picture! Look at that guy!
Oh, so sweet.
That's so cute.
That is so nice. What a great picture! What a great.
It fell off the wall today, so. I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is Yanni Gourde? Do you think the Kraken are going to give up by the trade deadline, or you think they're going to be?
You
think
they might? I don't think they're real good.
Hey, I heard just a little bit ago from Elliot Friedman they are moving all the Rangers out. They are the team has quit. The organization's in shambles.
They got to get rid of Drury.
They're getting rid of
the GM has to go. He has screwed the pooch here.
Yeah,
he went over the top. He did something even I wouldn't do, which is he gave out those idiotic no trades, and then he threatened guys. By what? He actually
put you on waivers.
Gaudreau on waivers, right? Mm-hmm. And then traded him. And then
he went on he worked behind the scenes to make sure that the team that Gaudreau did not want would pick him up.
Yeah, the Sharks.
And they did. Yes.
Yeah. That's a GM problem there. And they are completely screwed now.
Yeah, I did. Like Elliot Friedman, I think, just tweeted about that. Like the whole several players have vocally said I'm done with this organization.
They're 7 points out of the second wild card spot.
Rangers have quit on the organization, and it's only a matter of time before more get moved off the roster. According to Freeman, he says that Laviolette and Drury jobs are both likely safe at least until the end of the season.
No, that's ridiculous. Yeah, Trouba. They threatened him too. Yeah,
he was the latest one.
And they should have come to a resolution on that during the summer when I know it was acrimonious, but why do you wait till the season starts and then do it? They have completely screwed up. And that team, it's a shame. And now Shesterkin is struggling in goal because it's such a mess. And he's a marvelous goaltender.
So good.
Thank God he got that extension when he did. Who do you guys want? Who do you guys want off that Rangers team then? Who's catching your eye? Because the only one that I think makes sense would be Philip Cheadle.
Yeah.
Even then, I don't want to pay him 4.4 next year.
I'm looking at the roster right now.
Zibanejad's locked up for way too long at too high of a value, so that's not an option.
Yeah, he's
Chris Kreider's not a center.
Trocheck? Why not Trocheck? Huh?
At 5.6 till 2029, do you want that?
Well, Sam Carrick.
I want to.
Isn't he out there now?
How about Matt Rempe? Get Rempe in here.
I would love an expiring contract. Yeah, no, thank you very much. No, thank you. I would love an expiring contract on a veteran. That's what I want.
I just don't think they have that to offer. I feel like a lot of the guys that are
the Rangers probably don't.
No, you're going to be in for the long haul.
Yeah, don't like that. All right, you guys, great show, great reckless speculation on a Monday, fantastic. Jessi, we'll see you next week, and I'm joining you on Thursday at Tom Reed's, right?
You are coming to Tom Reed's live show, 5 p.m. Trivia, giveaways, all that good stuff before the puck drops on the 6 o'clock game for the Caps versus Wild. So come out to TRs, 2-for-1s, good times, plus me and Judd. Maybe AJ will show up.
I'm assuming my invitation got lost in the mail.
Oh, very much lost.
Yes.
Very much lost.
It's the holiday season. Postal services. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
but you know what? You are invited. Come watch. I'll sign a napkin for you, AJ. How does that sound?
What a hero.
Perfect. And I'll frame it, and then Jessi can hang it up against the picture. Replace the Granlund picture, picture with the frame.
Look at that. Just look at that look. And this is pre him having kids, because I was so mystified. I'm like, why are you so into babies? It was just very bizarre to me. I don't know.
He had never seen a baby up
All
until
right.
that point.
Let's go before it's too late because I have nothing to say to that. All right. Bye. See ya.